Chief People Officer of Toptal. Many of you might not have heard of Toptal. Toptal stands for Top Talent, and we are a global remote company that provides a freelancing platform connecting businesses with talent from software engineers to designers to product managers to project managers and more. And today I'm going to talk about creating a culture in a fully remote work environment. So a little bit about me is I've been at Toptal for going on 4 years now and came from a background in a variety of different industries. I think being an HR person is helpful that HR translates everywhere. So I've been in fashion, I've been in advertising, I've been in journalism. I started my career at Accenture and Deloitte. So soup to nuts, I've done everything from big company to small company. This is what I'm going to talk about. So we'll talk about creating a culture of connectivity, support, and success in a remote work environment. So one of the things that I got most when I started at Toptal was questions around, and I'm having a hard time doing my slides. So here we go. Where are your headquarters? Everybody wants to know where our headquarters are. And my response was, there isn't one. Well, where did the company start? It started remotely. And then my next question I usually get is, well, where are your executives located? And they're across the globe. And a lot of people have a hard time grasping that. I certainly did when the recruiter called me and said, this is a fully remote company. And I said, what do you mean it's fully remote? HR people are always in an office. And nope, fully remote, started 12 years ago with folks from all over the world. Again, today we're in over 100 countries. And so this is kind of the culture that we've maintained. And that's a lot of questions that then leads to, well, how does that work? How do you know your people are really working? How do you keep track of everything? How do you maintain a culture? I started at the company and there was under 400 people. Now we're hitting over 1,400. And so it's really about how do we keep everybody connected in all the different time zones all over the world and working. And so let me talk a little bit about the benefits to the company with remote work. So a lot of you know this as we're going back to these hybrid worlds right now that we're in, but the benefits, there's no office leases, there's no space capacity issues. Hiring is not constrained to one particular location or multiple locations. We don't have to lease office equipment. And especially in this COVID world, there's no passing germs in an office. I would also say for me, as someone who also has to manage facilities, there's no bathroom issues and no people coming late to work because there's a snowstorm. It takes everything out of it. And then what are the benefits to our employees? There's no commuting. There's no clothing allowance costs, especially with the skyrocketing gas prices. You can work from anywhere in the world. You can move anywhere in the world. You don't have to stay in one location. You finish your work really on your own time. You aren't distracted by people dropping into your office or your cube or stopping you in the hallway when you're going to get a cup of coffee. You take breaks when you need to, and it really allows for a flexible schedule. So if you need to run to the dentist in the middle of the day, if you need to take your dog out, if you need to pick your kids up from the bus, whatever it is, we've really found that this leads to a much higher productivity and a healthier lifestyle all around. So the 3 keys that I talk about when successfully operating in a completely remote work environment is making sure, number 1, that you hire the right people. Number 2 is really making sure you have the right tools, technologies, and processes in place to support the remote lifestyle. And then key to all that is really keeping team members engaged and connected. You're going to hear me say a lot about connectivity in this because really it's in this job market where it's so hard to find folks, they really want to work for a company where they like their culture. So first is hiring the right people. So we hire people. I think the beauty of what we do at Toptal is you can hire the right people from anywhere. So when I post a job for a product manager or a sales rep or anything, an engineer. I want the best person. It doesn't matter where they live, what time zone they're in, although I'll talk about that in a second, but really where they are can be anywhere. And that's how we post our jobs, fully remote. And that's why we get the most diverse, and it really leads to a culturally diverse climate, really smart people that you never would really work with if you didn't have this type of environment. So the two things that we also, though, I will talk about is you have to be able to, because we're a US based company, even though we have no headquarters, everybody has to speak, write, and communicate well in English. We have people that come and interview and their English skills are not up to par necessarily, and we ask them to reapply later and they go work and they come back and perfect. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect English, but we do speak in English, write in English, and everything has to come across as professional. We also, because we're global, have a slight US time zone overlap during your day. So we have regular all hands meetings, department meetings that everyone's invited to, different type of fun things. Those are usually happen on the East Coast time zone, anywhere from 10 to 2 p.m., I would say. So that people who even are in a different place, different location, farther away, some folks have to work late sometimes, and some folks might have to work early sometimes. Has not been a big deal. It seems to have worked well for us. We also really need to ensure that our cultural attributes are shown in the people that we hire. And these are what guide our success at Toptal. So these are the ones that we show. They're on our culture page on toptal.com. They're shared with every candidate that's coming in the door. Everybody has a culture interview. We use performance reviews regularly. We do them 2 times a year right now. We're actually probably going to move to more informal ones. And we measure folks on these because really this is how we guide ourselves. I would also say there's a couple that I say are missing here, but collaboration is key. I think that that's a big thing, and probably transparency. So a bunch of different ways that we actually show who we are. We want people that are driven. We want people that can work remotely by themselves. They're ambitious, they're career-minded, they're willing to help folks and work with others and hold hands if somebody is a new hire and needs help. So these are what we look for as our cultural attributes. Also, we want to make sure, because we're all in the same place, we are not a company that is hierarchical or political. We don't really care about titles. The way we see it is we are all boxes on a screen. We are all, we use Zoom. We are all just Zoom boxes on camera. So we look for clear communication and collaboration. You need to be self-motivated, open to give and receive direct feedback, strong local network, which I'll talk about in a second, and really understand that remote people often work harder and longer. If I get on a call and I'm interviewing somebody and they're asking about hours or talking about thinking that they cannot have childcare in their home, you know, a remote job often, as most folks know, you work just as hard, if not harder, because you're working a little bit longer. Not that we're making folks do that, because we want flexibility throughout the day, but it actually, you know, causes you to actually work on your own hours. I say strong local network because one of the pitfalls that I would say that we have found here is that sometimes people will take this opportunity to try to move places, or definitely take, you know, oh, I'm going to go to a new city and I don't know anybody in that city. And so once you get to that city, if you don't know anybody, you kind of are lonely. And so your whole world becomes your job. And I've had folks even on my team that have moved and thought that this was going to be a great thing for them, and then realized they're sitting in their apartment or their home all day long, talking to folks on Zoom, but when their day ends, they don't have anybody outside to go with. So it can be a little isolating when you work remotely. And so it's very important to have that network around you. The way we have our recruiting, the way our team works, is that we write very detailed job descriptions that are mostly posted on LinkedIn. We also often get a lot of kudos for the job descriptions that we post about really having what it looks like to work, what's 30 days, 60 days, 6 months, who you're going to be working with. So we do a lot of that stuff on our careers page. We also have a very purposeful, defined interview path so that the interviewers are trained that they're not just sitting there asking the same questions of the same candidates. You know, when the candidate's like, I already went over this with the last person. We record all of our interviews so that the folks can look at we had resistance at this first, but actually it's been very, very helpful, especially today in this climate where candidates are have a pick of who they want to go work for, and we have to move people swiftly through the process. If not everybody gets to interview and folks are on vacation, they can watch the recorded interviews and decide if the person is the right fit. So it helps us move people more quickly through the process. And the candidates have not, I can't think of one candidate that has declined to be on camera. We ask if they're okay with it, it gets recorded. We do assessments for every role. So we really want to see how somebody would take an assessment once they were in the job, a skill. So this is more of a skill interview, just to find out how they would approach a problem. There's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. It's more how they would, are they thoughtful? Do they capture all the big points? And if they pass the assessment, they continue in the interview process. If they don't, we actually give them very direct feedback about why they didn't pass. And the last interview is a culture interview, which I talked about our culture being important. So the culture interview is more showing it's somebody that's not in the career, in the interview path, somebody that they would not be working with daily, but more of our cultural ambassadors, having a frank discussion with them about what it's like to work. And it's a safe place for those candidates to ask their questions. So tools and technologies for us, we use Slack and Zoom constantly, and very little email. If you're a recruiter or you're on the sales team or our legal team, yes, you are using email, but there are often times when I launch something and I have to put in Slack to check your email. We are also almost always on camera. If it's a small meeting like this, everybody is on camera. If it's a large meeting, it's different, but we want to cultivate that engagement that, like, I'm working, you can see the weather behind you or whatever it is. Tools and technologies that we have a homegrown internet that has org charts and job descriptions and career maps and geographical locations and all of that stuff to help everybody engage. We have Lessonly as our training platform. We do a lot of training here, homegrown. UKG for our HRIS and payroll, which I would say, and Lever for recruiting. So for the Lessonly, UKG, and Lever, I think almost every HR person really knows. There's no great system out there, but these are what we use, and they're fine. They're B players. Confluence, where we have documentation. Again, this helps in our remote lifestyle to have everybody know where everything is, contacts, processes, just basic, how do we do things? We do Culture Amp, we use for detailed surveys. So our departments do surveys all the time that are anonymous, just to do a deeper dive. And then in Slack, we use Donut for onboarding, Roots for employer referrals, and our PTO tracking. We do a bi-monthly pulse survey showing our ENPS and a happiness score. And we use something called Karma as an instant recognition bot. Last is how we keep team members engaged. So we have monthly all hands calls that are very transparent. There's Q&A. We share our financials. We share products. We share client wins. We share inspiring stories from our talents. We share our survey results. Really, so if we give a survey and we ask for feedback and results, we share what those results are, good and bad. We do recognition. We do anniversary shout outs. So we really talk about a lot of stuff on our monthly all hands. On our intranet, we have OKRs, so objectives and key results that everybody can see. So again, very transparent. Everybody can see everything on what teams are working on, what their quarterly goals are, who's responsible, who's accountable, very much all documented. So somebody can find anything that they want to find. Also, we have functional and department meetings that are open. to anybody. If you're in marketing and you want to know what's going on in engineering, you can go to their department meeting. They are recorded, they're posted in Slack, so you can see everything. We have new hire newsletters that announce all of our new hires that are coming. We do regular touch points. So the people team, my team, does 30-day check-ins and 100-day check-ins, and we do stay interviews. So we really just want to make sure that, you know, you have this partnership to say, how's it going? You have an out, you have, if you're concerned about something, and actually it's more confidential from an HR perspective. Someone's not coming to your office and shutting a door or getting it and saying, oh my God, who's in Michelle's office? Nobody cares because nobody knows. So it's much more comfortable. We also do annual offsites and local meetups. So even though we are fully remote, I am in South Florida. I have about 5 or 6 people that live within 20 minutes of me. We get together. If I travel, even on vacation, I look up who's around, people get together, and then we have budgets for annual offsites. Sometimes twice a year, folks do offsites as well, to really work together, collaborate, and get to meet everybody in person and bond. Other things that we do, programs, we have reward and recognitions. We have regular performance feedback mechanisms that are also in Slack. We have a culture committee that works on what this team can do to what people are looking for. We have, you know, book clubs and gaming nights and happy hours and green thumb channels and dads in the trenches and working moms. So we do a lot of that. We promote a lot of internal mobility. We want folks to stay within Toptal. So we publish all of our career maps and what it takes to get to the next level. We can let you job shadow. We move a lot of people around internally. We have a high potential program for our top folks that we give coaching and different perks to once you get into that program. We have a mentor training. We're always focusing on training. We do LinkedIn Learning and Udemy licenses for everybody. We have very defined career paths, and we have a swag store, which everybody always likes swag. So at everybody's anniversary, they get a swag box when they start, and they get every year you get credits for your anniversary to buy more gear. So key takeaways for me to share is, you know, we actually have something called a remote playbook that's on our website. But a culture, you know, a healthy culture can't be replicated just with an in-office playbook. You really have to work on culture, have leaders promote the culture, train your managers on how to work in a remote environment. We have a lot of trust. I think that's the cornerstone for a remote setting. Folks are not micromanaged. They can come and go. They get their work done. They're not being looked over and saying, oh, you took a long lunch today or you came in late. It's not a problem. And then, you know, clearly define roles and responsibilities and make sure everybody knows what they're working on and what they need to do to be held accountable, right? Because it's all about results today. So really, this is funny. I just threw this in here. This was me 3.5 years ago when I first started at Toptal. I was in my basement with that fake background. That's a poster actually, in Connecticut. And I kept saying, you know, I'm remote, I can work from anywhere. And one of my goals was always to move to a warmer climate. I'm a warm weather person. So if you look in my background today, back here, this is real. And I actually am working from Southwest Florida. So I've moved and still working remote. And a lot of our folks have digital nomads is what we call it. I didn't even know what that term meant, but digital nomads, we have people that work out of their vans and move. All you need is Wi-Fi. They work on the beach, they follow the snow, they follow the sun, whatever it might be. So another big perk. So remote, again, it's not for everyone, but it can be really awesome. And so I appreciate everybody's time today. If you are interested, I am Michelle at Toptal with 2 L's. So if anybody needs anything or has any questions, or I see there's some questions that I didn't get to, but anything you want to know, just send me an email and I'm happy to reply. Have a great day, everybody.